Hey Libra. It's almost your birthday. Just take a breath. My kitty. Okay. You can lay here. He likes to be a part of the readings sometimes, but he has to lay back there. He is an indoor cat. I have two. You haven't been here before. All right, so Virgo season. All information to work with you one-on-one is below. As the Patreon extended readings will be there, where we get even more in detail and in depth, and a lot of cards just fell out. All right. This is a lot of things already. You are being exposed to the ways in which that you need to be about yourself, about your dynamics with yourself and how they affect your dynamics with others, your intimate relationships, where you don't value yourself enough or give from a place of where you're, maybe there needs to be a shift of where you can turn scarcity into generosity. Taking a look at what that looks like, taking a step back. This month is bringing things out into the open in order for you to allow change, allow for these moments where you may need to take a step back, or where you need, or you're being shown by those who care about you, or you're asking for help in ways in which you feel maybe insecure in some areas. You're also maybe realizing that it's more important at this time to not only ask others, but to lean on your higher power, to come to a place of connection, a place where what really changes is your ability to sit with what it takes to commit to certain aspects of your life, to you, to vulnerability, to changing dynamics, to shifting dynamics, to being open yourself. Your heart may feel more open. You may feel more vulnerable. You may need to sit with some information that has come with you for a while. You may need to communicate that to people in your life. It's a healing. It's reinforcing the changes and the shifts you've already been making. Maybe it's addressing this people pleaser part of you. You know, that is a big part of Virgo Libra. A lot of signs with Virgo Libra, a lot of different people, but we're going to address it here. You may need to say no and say things out of a way that's selfish in a positive way. I said this to Virgo as well. And you realize the shifts, the changes through your nervous system are helping you to come back to yourself more. This in turn opens up a new pathway to get to where you want to go, to the next step of your goals. This may feel challenging at times, however, it is the next step. It wouldn't be showing up if it wasn't. And if it feels like it's come up a few times, it's because there's this moment where you ride out this vulnerability, no matter how uncomfortable you may feel, how scared you may be feeling navigating the waters. You realize that the more you're connected to the water within, what do I mean by that? Or maybe mostly of water, so like connecting with yourself, connecting with these not only the habits that are your nervous system, but what leak into the water of your emotions, that leak into the water of what then actually feeds and holds you up and makes you, informs you and shapes you. So you may also look at dynamics where you can let go in order to not have this ego or this superiority. You find that you've seen these dynamics a few times, and the best thing you could do is be action-oriented when need be. But if you don't have a meditation practice, it may be very important for you at this time to be very clear and honest with yourself. Hold on 1 second. That. Thank you. You can ultimately see clearly when you allow yourself to take a step back and not be, if you feel reactionary, especially if you came into this month feeling reactionary, you see other people being that way, you see everything moving around. Mercury's retrograde in Virgo, Mars is in Libra, Jupiter just went into retrograde, but Venus went direct. All of these different things are happening and you feel them on all these subtle levels. So it's so important for you to give yourself what you need in order for the proper knowledge and the proper care to be taken for yourself. And then you can make decisions that bring you forward and forth and moving on from the dynamics of your past. How this Venus retrograde is helping you navigate this, and how it went direct, meaning the directness, how the retrograde helped bring up and surface things in order for you to move forward with more confidence, but more awareness, more assurity, more knowing, more abundant of the knowing. You feel like you know more, you've learned something, you've learned a few things, and not that you've been lacking that, but it's something that's been maybe kept you at a certain place in your life, at a certain level of intimacy with others, or where it's too much or not enough, or meeting, or, being so indifferent that you may have attracted many different kinds of people, but that has helped you realize like which people, what kind of people, because knowing any Libra you have, whether it's your job or your family or just your life in general, you have many different connections. They stay with you. Some people feel more connected to you because you can mirror them, and that's not something you always want to do, but sometimes it's just so natural. So these connections that you're now really perceiving, you're understanding the levels and the layers to them, and that there is so much abundance in what you're creating now that you just feel and know. That's going to help carry you forward because you are willing to be vulnerable with what's been shown to you, especially in this. Okay, so Mercury in retrograde, Saturn in Pisces in retrograde. It's allowing for you to feel almost like there's a constraint on your generosity. Because what's actually generosity and what's actually people-pleasing, or whatever modes that you tend to overgive when you don't know what else to do, or when you're not feeling like you have control, or you avoiding certain parts of yourself, or which connections are you willing to sacrifice some of your time with others. And not to say it in that way, but it is. It's like our time is so precious. Your time is precious. And that's something that I think you've been constantly been reinforced in learning. That's why you give it to others perhaps, and maybe you don't see it that way, but if you can look at it that way, now you have to realize what's necessary, and as you grow, continue to grow, what's necessary for you, what kind of energy, what you need. If maybe you need to, maybe there's a family party and My mom's a Libra. She tends to leave if they're on a night where she knows she has to wake up and be prepared for the next day. She knows she has to leave early, even though she doesn't always want to, because she really enjoys the familyness. Very Libra of her, but she always knows when it's time for her to go, so she's not stretching herself too thin. And that's something I think that the older and more aware of your aches and pains, because those say, oh, I'm getting older, I'm noticing these aches and pains. It's like, no, they've probably been there. They've probably been there for a while, but it takes for us to, sometimes we wait, and it takes us that waiting and that getting older, that one movement that makes you realize that maybe there's more care needed to be put into your body and tended to. And that perception is not selfish. That's keeping you for, if you want to have a family, maybe you have a business, or just for being able to be healthy enough to pay your bills, be healthy enough to connect with whoever you want to connect to be able to intake information, output information, perform, whatever it is that you do, Libra. This is the month where you realize where these imbalances are and how to like neutralize them before you, and be aware of them before we get into your season where it's going to be like every direction. So if you prepare now, you'll notice like what kind of energy comes into your season, and sitting with this and sitting with what abundance looks like in this way, what it looks like now for you, for what you need now, and allow yourself to be shown and guided. Allow yourself to acknowledge that you know what's best for you right now, and you always have and you always will, but more than ever you're very conscientious of this individual, unique part of yourself that you need to be reminded of. And sometimes we need to get low before we can come up, and that happens a lot. And maybe you invite these moments in, whether people know it or not, so because you know once you go low, you're only going to go up. That once you let this go, even though it feels weird when you get there, it's like this really awkward moment with yourself, and then all of a sudden you're there and things are changing, and then you get to rest in, it's like a storm after the storm, like the peace and the quiet after a storm. Or you hear you can't hear the buildup of the waves, but you hear them crash. And this has changed this dynamic with yourself in a way that you've needed. And it's so beneficial to who you're becoming, what you're exploring, because you're choosing, whenever we let certain parts of these identities go, and we've been working to move on from them, some linger longer than others, some linger forever, and you just have to keep, or your whole life, sorry baby, and you have to keep addressing them. This one is when they're bigger and you're setting those aside, you're dimming the light on those so that you're allowing this other perspective of you to shine. And it can be uncomfortable at first, just like I imagine a seed when it's growing, or sometimes this light is literally very uncomfortable on my face and on my eyes. I have light eyes, and that's just the truth of it. So this new exposure to yourself, what it's bringing out, is something for you to witness and be a part of. Not just watch and get excited and let go. It's something to sink into and feel, and notice what feelings come up. Notice what comes up and out of you during this time before your season begins. Happy birthday to September, Libras, and we'll see you in your birthday season. All information is below.